Again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session on Office 365 administration tips and tricks. Glad to see you all here. My name is Tom Warner. I'm a senior content developer for Office 365. And my coworker, Ann. I'm sorry, Nino.
Nope, it's not on.
My name is Nino Bielik. I'm a PM on a management team also.
And I'm Kate Follis, and I'm a project manager on the Office 365 content team. We've made a lot of improvements in Office 365 administration so you can make the most of your day-to-day experiences. But we know that one size doesn't fit all. We read every piece of feedback that comes to us. And what we're hearing is things like you actually don't like the look and the feel of Office 365 online. Maybe it's too complicated to maneuver, too many bells and whistles, or the opposite end of the spectrum. You're missing some of the advanced features that you're looking for. We also know that it's important to you to know when things change, when things are broken, so you can keep your users up to date. So we pulled together our best tips and tricks to kind of help you through some of these issues. And then we had to cut back for time so that we didn't have to speed all the way through them, but we're still going to go through them pretty quickly. So we're going to ask that you hold questions till the end, and we're going to try to save a little bit of time so that you can share some of your own tips and tricks with us. So take it away, Tom.
Thank you, Kate. So my name's Tom again, and I'm here to talk about company branding. So the first question you might think is, why brand Office 365? Isn't that just adding colors and graphics and prettying it up and making it look nice? But actually, I'd say there's more to that. I think it's providing a clear, recognizable path to your employees to the cloud. So instead of seeing Microsoft and Office 365, they see your own company brand, and it adds a little comfort. And well, when your employees are happy, that usually means fewer questions, fewer complaints, and better times for admins. So these are my 5 tips for better times for admins. The first one is the navigation bar in the app launcher. This is what appears at the top of the page throughout Office 365. To change this, you open up your Admin Center, go to Organization Profile, and Edit. We browse for our image, and then after I grab the image, I'm going to put in a clickable link. And for this, similar to what we do at Microsoft, the link goes to our intranet, our MS Web intranet. So I'll copy the address from our SharePoint team site, which is the intranet for our business, and paste it in here. Now, because I like this theme, I'm going to have, and want our employees to see this theme, I'm going to prevent them from overriding this with their own, so to provide for the easy navigation. And then for the color, I'm going to change it to a navy blue, which matches our theme, and then save. When you look at the top of the page, you see the dark color, and you see the Contoso logo, which again will appear throughout Office 365. The next one is the App Launcher tile. To do that, same thing, Organization Profile. You go down one more to add a custom tile. You click the plus to add a new tile. Give it a name, like Contoso Portal, and a URL. Now, you might use a company or an employee resource that you have. In our case, I'm going to use the same SharePoint intranet for the URL. Paste it in here, and then a description, Employee Portal. Now for the image, it's a little trickier this time, because instead of uploading one, I'm going to point to one that already exists on the SharePoint site in the Site Assets Library. I'm going to create a link, and then I'll copy this link, and then I'm going to paste it into for the App Launcher logo. I'll switch back to the Admin Center, paste it in here, and save. Now, what this does is actually adds it to the My Apps page, not the App Launcher just yet. And it will do that for all of your employees. So some employees might prefer that if they have a lot of tiles in their App Launcher, but that's what they'll see right here. And if you want it to appear in the App Launcher itself, click Pin to App Launcher. Now, when you click the App Launcher icon, you see it in the bottom here, Contoso Portal. And you click that, you go to your SharePoint intranet site. The next one is a branded help desk card. To do that, same thing, Organization Profile, and click Edit. The first thing you do here is you'll actually turn on the help desk card, give it a name like Contact Contoso Support, provide a phone number for your support, and an email address that you can contact support. Now, you might normally point this to a knowledge base or a support help desk URL that you have. If you don't have one, what I've done here is I'm pointing to a resource on office.com, a training learning site where they can answer their questions. The next one's Company Portal. And by that, I mean your SharePoint site. And I could spend this whole 45-minute session talking about this, so we're just going to touch on it lightly. From the Admin Center, this is new, go to Sites under Resources and open up your main SharePoint site, the default one. I like this one because it has the shortest URL, yourcompanyname.sharepoint.com. It's also often the default save as location from Office clients. So you go to that site, and in SharePoint, to change things, a lot of times you go to the Settings gear and Site Settings. Then we'll go over and change the title and logo. Not going to do a description for this. Contoso Team Site, and upload a graphic, our Contoso logo. And when we do this, this will appear at the top of the page in every page in SharePoint, as you can see right here. Now, to change the contents of the page itself, go to the Page tab and Edit. A lot of things you can do with your SharePoint site. Again, not everything I can cover here, but you can add custom tiles, apps, lists, web parts, and much, much more. There's another session at Ignite that goes over SharePoint branding. But to learn more about how to create one that looks like this, visit aka.ms/setup365. The sign-in page. To do that, we'll open the Admin Center, and this time we'll go down to Azure AD, which opens up the Microsoft Azure subscription, included with your Office 365 subscription. And under here, this is new as well, open up your Active Directory and scroll up to Company Branding. When you select Company Branding, you'll configure the branding on the right side of the page. Now we'll upload a graphic from here. This is a cityscape graphic that matches the Contoso theme. We'll grab this, and the image complies with the requirements here, which is basically 1420 by 1200 pixels. But the more strict thing, I think, is the being under 500 KB. I had to resize that a couple times to make it fit under that. This image will appear instead of the whatever Santa Monica or LA traffic jam that you see on the sign-in page, and it will be your theme instead. For the logo, we'll grab the same one that we used on the SharePoint site, Contoso, add it here. Now for the sign-in hint, instead of someone@someone.com, I'm going to add your name at contoso.com. So it's a little more clear what your employees would enter when they sign in. And then the sign-in page text at the bottom is if they have problems signing in, where to go for more information. Visit contact support at contosoco.com. And then you scroll down a little more, and here I've an HTML code that matches the skyline in the picture there. So in cases where that image doesn't load, it loads too slowly, at least the color will appear. And save, which takes you back to the Microsoft Azure portal. The next thing is website sign-in. Now this step is done outside of Office 365, and this is, you might host your own website, you might use Wix, you might use GoDaddy. In this case, it's a GoDaddy site, and we're going to make it easy for our employees to know where to go, where to find, where to start their day. So here you choose your manage site, and then edit site. And then in this case, I have a link already, employees. You can add a link, edit the properties of the link, and instead of pointing to a page on your site, which would be the default experience, you change this address to outlook.com/contosoco.com to invoke the sign-in page we just created with Azure. And then save. So, enough. What does this look like to the employee? We'll type in Contoso Co. Oops. and you get the public-facing site. So instead of going to, let me switch browsers here. Again, instead of trying to remember portal.office.com or office.com and sign in, or Outlook, they just go to the website. I've done this for a couple small businesses. It works very well because they don't have to, everyone knows their website. It matches their email address. And click sign in, or you might have it a little less obvious. In this case, it's very obvious. The employees go here. You see that they'll get the branded sign-in page. They'll get this someone at, your name at contosoco.com to sign in with. So we use our account here. Let me know if I got that right. Is that good? It's always kind of nervous to type a password in front of several hundred people. So I'm signed in to Outlook, and we see right away our company branding at the top. It's like a navy blue band here, the Contoso logo. And if we click the app launcher, we see our Contoso portal tile. When we click that, it takes us to our business intranet, which is also branded as Contoso on our Contoso team site, where we can work on OneNote, documents, clients, and much more. And if any questions come up, just click the question mark anywhere in Office 365, and you're taken to your Contoso support options, or Learn. And that is the end of my demo. On to you, Kate.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Tom. I really do believe that company branding helps with user adoption and just stickiness of the service. People really recognize it as being in their organization instead of some Microsoft space. Now, I know that a large part of your day has to do with managing people. So I came up with a few tips to help make your user management a little bit more efficient and kind of help you do some of those bulk editing options without going into PowerShell. So I'm just going to flip right over to demo, speaking of pressure on navigating around and typing in front of a crowd. So we're going to go back to, you guys got that up there? Can you click on that? Can you help me navigate since I don't have my glasses on?
One moment here.
There we go. Thanks, Tom. Okay, so now we're in the admin center. This is where a lot of people do most of their work. You may have noticed this search bar at the top of the screen and kind of thought, well, why would I search for anything here? What's the use of that? It is actually super, super handy. You can look for a particular task. You don't have to memorize the navigation on the left-hand side. You just look for the task that you want to perform. But even better yet, you can actually just start to search for a user. So if I start to type a username, the username displays, and I can instantly go into the edit options. I've got an option to just reset the password. That's a pretty common task, so I can jump right into reset password. Or if I want to make some edits, I can just go right over to edit. So this is one user at a time though. Chances are, most of the time, you are actually editing more than one user. A common task might be a license upgrade or a license change. So to do that, let's just go over into users. Now, one option is to simply go through and select the users that you want to manage, and then you get your bulk actions available on the right-hand side. So we click a couple. Not quite sure why the bulk actions aren't coming up. There we go. Slight delay. So you get all of the things that you are allowed to change in bulk are available on the right-hand side, and you'll notice that edit product licenses as one of those. That could be a bit tedious. We've only got about 20 users displayed here. You may have 20,000 or 200,000 or even more. So if you want to do bulk editing there, you can use one of our built-in filters. So if you use a built-in filter, we can look at, for example, unlicensed users, select all of those users, and edit their product licenses. So pretty quick and easy. But if none of these filters is actually satisfying your requirements, you want to do something a little bit different, you can add a custom filter. So you can create your own filter. You'll give it a name and then specify the criteria for the filter. One of the options is licensing. So if you can actually select which product license. Maybe you started a bunch of users with just business essentials, and now you want to move them up to enterprise. You can choose your license as your filtering option, choose any other conditions that you want, and then add the filter. We've got one pre-built here, which is our Contoso Office users. I bring that up. It shows me all of the users with the business premium license. I can simply select them all, edit their product licenses, and move them over to an enterprise SKU. So speaking of adding users and licenses, you do have the ability to create an unlicensed admin. There's a couple of scenarios for this. If you are in a small business, for example, and you have a partner, a consultant, the kid down the street who helps you with administration every now and then, you may not want to pay for him to have any sort of license, but you do want them to be able to sign in and do the administration. So when you create that user, you'll simply go ahead and create the user. You'll assign them the global admin role, and then you will not assign a license to them. There's actually a switch to create an unlicensed user. From an enterprise standpoint, this is going to help you enforce that best practice that you had on premises. On premises, you didn't have users signing in as the enterprise admin to check their email and to write Word docs. But when we get to the cloud, all of a sudden, everybody's a global admin. It's not really a best practice, but being able to create this unlicensed admin can help you to fork those responsibilities. So we'll simply give the user a name. We'll set their role to either global admin, or you can create them as any sort of custom admin. You'll go down into the licensing and create the user without a license. That's it. So pretty simple there to create an unlicensed admin, and that should save you on some licensing costs just a little bit. So another complaint that I hear is that when people forget their passwords, the administrator has to reset it for them. And oftentimes, especially in small businesses, that administrator is a little busy with other tasks to be just having to constantly respond to these user password reset requests. You can actually turn on a policy that allows for self-service password reset. So this is under Settings, Security and Privacy. Please wait. Okay, so you can see our password policy here. This one's pretty lax. It's going to take a while before these passwords expire, but the users are going to get 2 weeks notification that they need to change their password. That never requires an admin interaction. But if we go down here to let people reset their own passwords, we're going to turn it on in the Azure AD Admin Center. This might have a little bit of a delay while we connect to Azure. Okay. So we land in the old Azure admin portal. So I do encourage you to check out the new Azure portal. There's just a ton of settings there. Pardon me? No, you do not. No. You can go to it right now. So we'll go into more services. This is where the setting is. It is a user setting. So we'll go to users and groups. We go to password reset. First thing that we're going to do is specify who this policy applies to, so who will be allowed to reset their password. Now, this is the case where the person has forgotten their password, they've locked themselves out. So we can say that nobody can do this, they always have to come to the admin, or we can specify a group or say it applies to everybody. The group that you see here is a built-in group. It's automatically created when you start this. You can also choose your own group. So if you have like a group of administrators, for example, that you want to be able to reset their own passwords, you can add that group here. The second thing that you have to specify is what authentication method will they use to reset that password. So they've got to have some sort of alternate method of authentication to prove who they are. You can choose that they have to use one or two of the methods that you specify. You can see the list of methods that are available here. If you choose security questions, you have some more options, which you can say how many questions they have to have the answers stored, and then how many questions will you challenge them with when they go into this. You also, in your security questions, you can make up your own, or you can go from the predefined list of policies. So I'm going to flip back over to our presentation because there's one more thing I want to show you, and that is actually going to help out with that unlicensed admin scenario. There we go. Let's switch past that. Hi, and it's the Universal app. So the Universal app is available from the Windows Store. I'm going to let Tom drive the little demo here. You can download this app from the Windows Store. It runs on your desktop. So you do not have to be going out to the browser every time you want to do administration. You just load it right there on your desktop. You basically have all of the same functions that you do in the cloud. About the only thing that's missing is that connection to the other admin centers. So you won't be able to jump into Azure from here, for example. But one of the great things is when you first launch this, it's going to ask you to sign in as an admin. And then you'll see your user icon up in the top corner. When you click on that user icon, you can then sign in as another administrator without signing out of the first one. So if you have multiple organizations that you're managing, you can easily switch contexts, like it's showing there, to go into another organization and then flip back to the other one without signing in, signing out, and going out to the browser. So that is it from me, and I'm going to hand it over to Nino now for some email and collaboration tips.
Thank you, Kate. All right, I wanted to talk to you about a couple of things that have been either questions or have provided, let's say, lots of entertainment value for admins. Okay, maybe not really, but so the first thing I wanted to mention is this was actually mentioned in yesterday's session on admin, that we do have rooms and equipment in the new admin portal. This is something that was not there in the old admin portal. I'm sure you remember that one. In the new portal, if you go to rooms and equipment, you can basically, there's only one plus button to add a resource, and then you get to choose, do you want to create a room or do you want to create an equipment? So the question is, why would you even do that, right? So ultimately, a room is something that pretty much has the same properties as equipment, but equipment is something that you would typically want to have for, I don't know, let's say a van or a projector, or there was actually a funny example yesterday, a fax machine, I think, which I thought was different. Then you can basically have that assigned to, I don't know, a piece of medical equipment or whatever, and people can schedule it. Now, if you do want something to be actually able to be added to people's calendar or invited, then it might be still a better idea to use a room, because when you are adding a room, then rooms will actually show up under the room address list. So when you are creating a new meeting request, you can actually invite a room to your meeting. So depending on what you need to do, it might be a good idea to use both. This is something that you might have missed if you came from on-premises. It was kind of hidden in EAC because it wasn't in the old portal. Another thing that a lot of people have asked us for is the Office 365 group privacy switch. And I wanted to talk about it here because it is a very requested feature. So Office 365 groups, when we release that, a lot of admins have said, well, it's great that you guys have done this, but I have these users that have created a private group or they created a public group, and I cannot switch the type. And it is true, the type could not be switched once you actually created a group. So this option to switch the group is there now. the owner actually has to log into their Outlook web app and go to the properties of that group. And there they can switch the group type from public to private or private to public. So this is something that can be now changed on the fly. Note, this is not currently in the admin portal. We are looking to add that into the admin portal, but it is something that owners can do through Outlook web app. So that's a good thing.
Can you do it in PowerShell?
Yes, you can do it in PowerShell. Yeah. Not in the portal yet. Sorry. Now, this is something that has been a lot of fun for many people, I believe. So there was a time where we had this user-defined email forwarding through Outlook web app, and we still have it. Then admins have this, if you knew exactly where to look and dig deep enough in Exchange Admin Center, you would have these delivery options on a mailbox, and you would set email forwarding there. The funny thing about these two settings is never they would meet. It would be like you could have forwarding in two different places. People wouldn't necessarily know that they are set in two different places. What was kind of crazy is that this particular checkbox, deliver messages to both forwarding and email address, that was shared between both. So anyway, it was very confusing. So what we've done is in the new admin portal, the forwarding setting is now available on both mailboxes and shared mailboxes. It is not there for resource mailboxes because we never supported that for resources. But the new portal is actually aware of both settings. So let's say you are an admin and you had set some of the forwarding in the EAC. Now you go to the new admin portal. The new admin portal will actually be aware of both. And we even have logic in there to reconcile the cases where both of the settings are set to different email addresses, and we will actually guide you to do the right thing. If you set email forwarding in the new admin portal, we're going to actually set the forwarding setting, which a user will also see in their OWA options. So that way, people are not confused as to what's going on. This has been a lot of fun scenario to work on. If you have additional questions about it, let me know. Okay, I wanted to demo a couple of things. Let's see, Alt-Tab, is it? All right. Where were we? Azure. Going back to admin. Hopefully we didn't time out. All right, so I wanted to show you one thing that we added, which is OOF settings to both shared and user mailboxes. The reason why we've added this is because every so often we hear back from admins saying, hey, some of my users have been, they kind of forgot to set this, and they are camping somewhere in the back of in the woods, and they cannot do this now, and we need to help them set OOF. So we added this now as an option on both users and shared mailboxes. So if you go here under mail and then automatic replies, you can set automatic replies for both internal users and for external users. Now, we do not give you every single option here that users have available to them in Outlook web app, with a reason, because we figured, if this is something that admin does, it's not they don't necessarily need to worry about all of the HTML forwarding and fancy stuff. But I mean, if there are additional, if you disagree with that choice, let me know. But it is something that admin can do now through both mobile app, universal app, or new admin portal. So that is good. I wanted to also show you something that's called here, it's called email apps. But actually, if you have been administering Exchange for a long time, yes, was there a question?
What role do you need to be able to, if you want to assign a help desk admin, what role does it need to be able to set the outline?
I believe you need to be Exchange admin. Yeah. So email app settings setting, this is actually something that used to be findable under Exchange properties before, and it still is if you go Exchange Admin Center. But essentially what this is, it allows you to actually turn on or off separate protocols for a mailbox. So let's say you want to turn off OWA access or whatnot, it is actually right here. So this is something that we added to a new admin portal relatively recently. But it was a reason why people kept going to edit Exchange properties and then dug through the long list of stuff in EAC. Well, yes, you can do that as as a bulk action. It is not available, I believe. Yeah, thank you for that. Actually, I need to look into. Yeah, you can do it in PowerShell, yes. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you is a newest option that we've added for a shared mailbox. And essentially what this feature is, I don't know if you are aware, but there is a feature that we've added back into the product for Exchange 2013, I want to say. Yes, or yeah, 2013, I think, where on a sent, if you have multiple people working with a shared mailbox, let's say Tom and I have permissions on a shared mailbox, and we want to sometimes send messages as that shared mailbox. What happens by default is when I send a message as our support@contosoco.com, for example, the message that I sent goes only to my sent items, not to the sent items of the shared mailbox. So there used to be a commandlet, actually there still is, for shared mailboxes, that if you set that setting, you can actually have the message being copied also to the sent items of the shared mailbox, which is handy because then Tom can come after me and he can log in as himself and he can see that I have actually sent an email. So now you actually have the ability to go here and set up that sent items are actually copied to the shared mailbox also. All right, excuse me. Now going back to the presentation. Yes?
That switch you just showed, does it work for both send as and send on behalf of?
I'm glad you asked, and the answer is no. And actually, as I listed, item number 2 here is, I wanted to share a couple of things that are coming. Control of sent items and send on behalf of is something that will come. I believe it's going to take about 3 or 4 more weeks, but it is coming. There was a change, long story, but it's coming soon in a couple of weeks here. Another thing that we're going to be working on is conversion on user to shared mailbox. Currently, you have to go to EAC in order to accomplish that. And the last thing I wanted to quickly just tell you that some customers have been asking us for Exchange PowerShell to work with the multi-factor, and that is also coming. It's going to be in a couple of weeks. We're going to be announcing that.
Does that also include on off?
I actually am not sure. If you give me your email address later, I can actually follow up and get back to you. Mm-hmm. At this point, oh yeah, that was mine. Okay, wanted to mention a couple of other things. ISE, Integrated Scripting Environment. I think this is something that a lot of people don't know of. So if you are on a machine that actually has PowerShell, you already have it installed. So if you just go down to the start and search for ISE, you're going to get something called Windows PowerShell ISE, which is Integrated Scripting Environment. What is really cool about this, it actually allows you to create multiple connections. You can have connections in multiple tabs. You can run a part of the script to see what's going to happen. You can run the whole script. It gives you syntax help and all kinds of cool things. So I think this is really, if you spend a lot of time in PowerShell, it might be worth your while. Excuse me. The final tip is, I know I have heard from several admins, several people ask me, even some of the Microsoft support, they were kind of frustrated when they work in PowerShell. How is it that a lot of attributes actually get truncated? So you do not actually get full output of various commandlets. You get 3 dots. So there's actually this commandlet that you can run in your PowerShell session, or you can add it to the PowerShell profile, which then will actually list out full length of a particular property. I see people are taking pictures, so I guess that was a good tip. So yeah, I'll leave it there just for a second. All of this, by the way, including most of the demos, they are in the deck that you can download. So, all right.
Okay, so all of that's really challenging, just keeping up with all of the changes. And so we wanted to touch quickly on all of the ways that we have available for you to stay on top of updates. My personal favorite, because I wrote the original spec, is the Message Center. And there's been a lot of improvements come to the Message Center lately. You can do more filtering, but one of the greatest things about the Message Center is when you have actionable things that come through and you're not the right person to take action, you can actually share that through email with the right person. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, we also have the recently added widget in the portal itself. So it'll kind of tell you which features are new since the last time you visited. How about you guys? What do you like?
When it comes to staying current, I think my preferred approach is the universal app with the Message Center, and monitor that because there is no RSS feed currently for Message Center posts. Turn on first release for myself as the admin, and perhaps your IT staff, and then definitely pick on a mole, an end user at the company, to also be on first release and let me know what they're seeing changing in their world that I may not have picked up on. And the roadmap, checking there frequently.
One thing I wanted to mention is I frequently heard customers ask in the feedback, hey, is there a way that I can subscribe to alerts? Like if there is possibly some sort of service disruption or whatever, so can I subscribe to that through email? And I always wonder, well, if there is a problem about email, do you really want to do that? So actually what you should do is you should install Office 365 admin app on your mobile device, because that actually provides you push notifications. So that is actually, yes?
I was about to promote that session, and there are some really great improvements coming to the Service Health Dashboard, so for sure, check out that session.
Which session?
Can you repeat the session, Ann?
12:15.
12:15, it's called, wait a second. So it's at 12:15, and it's called Introducing a New Level of Service Health Insights.
Introducing the new level of Service Health Insights. That's a mouthful. 12:15 though.
It is.
Sounds good.
But we will open it up for questions or tips that you want to share with the audience yourself. And I also want to mention just real quickly, and we'll get you to 1 second. We've got a couple of guys over here, Terry and John, and they're interested in collecting email addresses for people who want to be part of kind of an early evaluator program. They're with the design team, so they want to kind of run some ideas past you while they're still in the work. So if you are interested in that, see those two guys at the end, and you had a question.
So my question had to do with in the admin center groups. There used to be, you could go into groups and sort of bulk add people to a group. The functionality changed in that, and it's very difficult to, if you have a list of 10, 15 or more people, to add them to a group. You can't, like if you're typing a name, you can't do spaces, you can't do periods. So is there some sort of workaround since that functionality was taken away? We contacted Microsoft and we were told it's working as designed, which, you know.
Okay.
I mean, to me it seems more like a bug
I'm not super familiar with that. I don't know if you guys have had those challenges. One little tip that I would give everybody is definitely use that feedback button in the portal. We read that. So if that's a particularly painful scenario for you, I would definitely highlight that.
I'm going to actually. Okay. All right. So if I would actually like, you can send me an email with a list of steps that get you in the state where you are not exactly sure what to do or that show your pain. I'm actually interested in kind of understanding the scenario so I can work on making that better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question? Oh, boy, gosh.
I've got a question that's related to more hybrid deployments and stuff.
Hybrid?
Yeah. So
Okay.
let's say we're in a hybrid environment. Right now, if I want to create a shared mailbox, you can't right-click on it, you can't use PowerShell. There's no way to create a remote shared mailbox.
Correct.
Right? So the option that most people would say to use would be, well, create a user mailbox, migrate it, and then convert it when it's over there to a shared mailbox that you're done.
Or create a shared mailbox on premises and then migrate it.
Which is the actual way you want to do it, because once you create a user mailbox, the other thing that we fall down on is if you click on a user mailbox and convert it to a shared mailbox, there's no write back view that they let our
Right.
on-premise environment know that it is now.
It is a shared mailbox.
Is there any awesome stuff coming to actually make it so you can create a shared mailbox as a shared mailbox, or when you convert it so that we can actually see that it's a shared mailbox on-premise?
So unfortunately, at this point, the answer is no. That is actually a bit more of a complicated story than you might imagine because of that write back thing. So at this, I guess the only thing I can say is we are very well aware of that ask, but there is currently we do not have an actual action or a date when we're going to solve this. It is something that we need to solve. So yeah, I get that. Yes?
Okay. Currently at our organization, our service desk, we don't have access to create email accounts, which we had in the past on a different system. And so I wanted to find out, in order to present this to our higher level team, what would you suggest for a service desk employee? I remember you saying there's something about like unlicensed permissions, and then is there something else that needs to be presented to see if there's any way possible we can be granted those privileges to create email accounts?
Now, when you say create email accounts, does that mean create users?
Yes, creating users, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, if they want to create users, we do have an admin role for that.
Okay.
I mean, whether or not they are unlicensed, that is really something that I mean you need to look at if it makes sense for them to have mailboxes or not. But I mean, we do already have role. I believe it's
I think it's a user and admin role.
user admin role. I believe yes.
Just click on the customized admin and you'll see the list of the available roles. And user admin, I believe, is the role. I think we're running out of time. We're going to package up the tips that we presented plus the ones that we didn't have time to present in some downloadable packages. And we'll be here for a few minutes if you guys want to come and chat. But thank you very much.
Thanks.